There's no denying the value of auxiliary driving lights. From on-the-road conspicuity to improved nighttime visibility, the Denali lights outshine your bike's stock headlights at every turn. Okay, that much we already know. But we also get some questions here at Twisted Throttle about the installation process. Is it something you can do on your own? Does it require special tools? Is there anything you need to know before you start in on this process? So we're going to walk you through the installation of the DR1 right on our Kawasaki KLR650. We're going to try to take the mystery out of it by taking you step by step through it. There are a lot of options for mounting LED lights to your bike that we sell, but in this case we're going to use a bike-specific mount. This particular mount bolts under the front fender and gives the DR1s or any Denali lights a really good solid foundation. So that's where we start. Let's jump into the installation and see how it goes. So this is our bike-specific mount for the KLR. It's actually a pretty straightforward installation. You're going to replace 4 of the bolts that hold the fender up. And because of the shape of the fender, we have to use these spacers in here to get the hardware flush. Should fit up in here. So we're going to remove all the bolts first. My handsome assistant Dave here is going to hold this. So the easiest way is just start one of these bolts. Probably do the rear one. All right, so the next step is to actually mount the light to our bike-specific mount, facing forward. This goes in here. You notice there's a slot in the mount itself, gives you some flexibility left and right. These are big enough that we're actually running them all the way out for clearance. Drop this on here. We got a washer and we got a nylock nut, so we don't need any Loctite. The other cool thing is there's actually a couple of little raised ridges in here that hold the head of the bolt in place, so you don't actually need another wrench on this. It's a nice touch. And we get that sink down. We'll be able to adjust the aim of that later on, so we're not going to worry too much about that. Get it roughly level, we're good to go to the next step. All right, now we have the lights installed. Next step is to start running the wiring. What we're going to do is take this straight back from the mount. We're going to go up in front of the fork tube and head toward the center of the bike. We can slip it up in here behind the little plastic piece. There's just enough room for this if we do it right. We'll pull it up, and of course we'll grab it on the other end when we get up there. That can go right up on top of the fender, gets it out of the way, keeps it clear of the rest of the bodywork. So we've already routed the cables directly from the lights kind of into the center cavity here of the bike. We're going to kind of work the other way with the rest of the harness. I want to show you the harness that actually comes with these kits. Pretty sophisticated, absolutely complete. The core piece is the relay. That's obviously going to turn the lights on and off. And it's going to handle all the high current stuff, so you can go directly to the battery. So we work through, we have the relay here. We have a number of connectors. We have 2 waterproof connectors. These go directly to the lights. Now we also, as part of the kit, you get extension cables. So if you can mount the relay close to the lights, you may not have to use that. If you have to mount the relay back on the bike like we're doing on this KLR, you can use the extension cables, never have to cut or splice anything. Another part of this cable is this white wire. This is our trigger wire. This is going to go to a switch 12-volt source, tells the relay that the bike is on and starts power. So in routing the wires, in a lot of bikes, it'll be an obvious place to put them. On the KLR, we're going to run them along the outside of the rear subframe here. We want to keep them out of the way of the seat. Of course, anytime you're routing wires around an exhaust system, you want to make sure you keep it clear of that too. Pay attention to chafing issues and things like that. But basically, we're bundling most of the harness and bringing it forward from the relay section where it's going to go feed the lights themselves and the switch. So we've taken the extension cord harnesses, basically drove them up the right side of the frame, under the main tube of the frame, just above the carburetor, and underneath one of the bales that are you'll find just where the tank mounts to the frame, where the rubber tank mounts are. And we connected them up to the lights themselves and tied everything off. There's an area right above the voltage regulator where you can stuff some of that bundle if you like. Our next step is to connect the trigger wire. Now the trigger wire is simply there to tell the relay that the bike is turned on. We're going to go and grab them. The Kawasaki's done a kind of a cool thing here. We have a set of actually 2 fuses here. We got a spare, and we know from testing that both the fan and the lamp are powered up or hot when the bike is turned on. But we're going to grab the red wire here. That's part of the headlight and tail light circuit. We know that that's going to be turned on when the bike is running. And to do that, we're going to use our magical Positap. Find the slot, drive it over the wire. So the side of the connector with the little pointy end, if you can see that, that simply goes in here. We tighten that down. I've already put the ferrule on this guy. Strip the wire. Simply going to drop it in here. Just drop that down in there and thread this guy in. Keep the tension in. Tighten that down. Check that nice and tight. We're good to go. This 3-prong connector is part of the switch harness. Now I've already mounted the switch up to the instrument panel, and we're going to connect this with the rest of the harness. Once that's done, I'm going to tie off and bundle the excess wire that I have from the switch assembly itself. I'm going to follow it down along the left-hand side here. There's a metal fairing stay that I can tie this off to. Okay, before we close things up here, we're going to hook up the battery, positive terminal first. Except Kawasaki puts the battery down in a hole, so it takes a little bit of patience to get at it, especially if you have a lot of terminals on the battery itself. Take your time, go easy. Now once that's done, you can switch on the ignition and check things out. If everything looks good, you're just about done. Except there's one more thing. We're going to show you how to aim the Denali lights correctly. You start by aiming the lights directly forward. So to get there, measure from the distance from the mounted light to the ground, transpose that distance on a wall, say 20 feet from the bike. Turn on the lights and see how close you got. Now to make sure you're accurate, sit on the bike with a normal luggage load. You want to make sure the pitch of the bike is correct before you do any adjusting. You want to make sure the spot is right in the center of that dot. If you need to see left and right, you can drape a towel over one of the other lights to see how they're doing individually. The next step is to go ride. Now you might want to experiment a little bit with the aiming to optimize long distance illumination or to maybe reduce glare for oncoming motorists. Remember that Denali lights with the narrow optics are meant for spot illumination, while those with standard or optional wider optics are really meant to cast a wider spread of light. Each is a compromise, but definitely better than your bike's headlight. So to see the whole line of Denali lights and the mounting options, visit TwistedThrottle.com.